All right. I think, are we live? This is end broadcast. Let me see. It's double checking because sometimes there's a delay when it comes to um,
Oh, we're live.
YouTube. Oh, we're live?
Oh, yeah.
Are we live?
We are
Oh,
live.
sheesh. We are live. All right. Let's do this. Welcome, everybody. Today we got Oracle Investments. Greetings, Oracle, on the channel.
How is
Welcome,
it going?
welcome.
Hi. Wow, it's what a wonderful new year so far. How are you doing?
Man, I mean, we started off the year being sick. So
Not a good way to
that
go.
was not a good way to start, but welcome everybody. Welcome, greetings, Oracle. If you guys don't know who Oracle Investments is, he's a guy who talks about investments, mainly Tesla, like I am as well. And if you guys want to check out his channel, there's a link in the description for him. Good stuff. He does daily updates all the time, so if you're like want to see what's going on, get the gist of it, get some a different perspective, I recommend subscribing to Oracle Investments. I'm a subscriber, so it's good stuff. It's good stuff. Welcome, greetings.
Yes. Yes, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. But man, there's a lot of things to talk about, man. There's a
Oh my
lot of
goodness.
things to talk about. I don't even know where to start, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, heck, we had those price cuts yesterday. That was the big ball drop. That was huge.
Yeah, let's talk about the price cuts because this was like the main thing. This was like the big boom this past entire week.
Yeah, and like I thought about it and I'm like, originally I woke up in the morning. I woke up to a text from my buddy who lives in San Francisco, who actually got me into Tesla. And he's
Okay.
like, "Hey, price cuts in the US." And I'm like, "Dang." So immediately jumped on, I took a look and I was like, wow, it dropped like crazy. Then I saw Canada dropped. And then my subscribers were telling me that the UK and the EU dropped prices as well. And I'm like I felt it was coming. I've been tracking inventory in my area, saw inventory starting to build back up again. So I knew price drops were coming. And I figured they would just drop the hammer like they did. I had a feeling they were going to throw a big one down. I still think we're going to get another price cut too. I think we're going to get another one in March or April.
Man, I don't know how the other automakers gonna handle that. Another price cut?
Yeah. So, well, and my thoughts behind it are, if you look on the ordering page, it will say on there that the prices are good until March of 2023, because that's when the IRS is going to kind of reassess things themselves. So Tesla said until March, we're going to find out what's going on. And you notice that the Model Y Performance does not qualify. And if you put on too many of the options onto the long range, that also does not qualify. So my
Yeah, that
guess
was
is they're going to
ridiculous.
drop prices a little bit more in March or April, depending on how demand is, just so that we'll have more models that'll qualify.
Man, that's intense. Okay, that was a 13% drop for the Model
It was
Y.
20% on the Model Y
20?
long range. Yeah.
So yeah. So I think it was a 13% drop for the Model S then. So
Yep.
that's 20% drop. You know,
Yeah,
that's
and
that
it wasn't even just the 3 and the Y. They dropped the S and the X.
everything,
Yep.
whatever they
Everything across the
had.
board dropped.
You know what? To be honest, I love it. I bought shares like on Friday when it dropped like 6%. I'm like, this is stupid. This is
Oh yeah. Well, we saw the same
first
thing
of
happen
all.
when they dropped the prices in China. It was stupid not to buy. You knew it was coming back.
Oh yeah. Oh, and the thing is, what's crazy is that the price cuts that happened is that the pricing power. It just shows you how strong Tesla is when it comes to pricing power.
Oh
Who
yeah.
else in the industry? Who else in the industry can slash prices like this and make a decent profit?
Oh, seriously. And then you have to remember too, and we don't know what the vehicle margins are now, but based on rough calculations, I know Gary Black threw it out, and as a number that came into my head also is, right around 24%. So we know we're shooting for 30, but even if Tesla is at 24% for vehicle margins, sure, that's not the 30 that everybody's been looking for, but what are the other automotive makers making on their EVs? Negative margins. What are they making on their ICE vehicles? At best, 12% margins. So Tesla is still double the best ICE vehicles for margins out there. So if they come down even further, that's just the nail in the coffin.
No, that's facts. That's facts. And I love the fact that they're reducing prices.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just like I put this on my Twitter feed is that King BYD is feeling not so king after all because they only have 1% profit. I mean, like what are they gonna do? Go make losses? I mean,
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, they could do that, but I don't know. I'm not too sure if Warren Buffett's going to enjoy that. But
Oh, I know. Well, and they've got the seal, and the seal sounds like it's a very good seller over there. People like it, so good for them, and kudos for them doing what they're doing with EVs. Even Elon said it's good to have competition. You need to have the competition, so it's a good thing. But if you're not making any money on it, and we know that we're going away from ICE vehicles, like they got to really do something because even their hybrids are going to be gone. So I have
that's
no idea what
true.
they're doing long term.
That's true. I just got somebody on the chat saying that. Let me just put it here. He's saying that too much supply, no demand. Well, let's prove this guy wrong. Wrong. All right. Let me go ahead and do a screen share quickly. Let's do the entire screen. Cool. All right. Here we go. Can everybody see?
Oh yeah, we're good.
There we go. So look at that. Look at that demand. Look at that drop. Look at that drop. And you know what's funny? Because everybody was waiting for a price cut. And that's why the drop is going down.
Yep. Oh, exactly. That's exactly it. And so this morning, and I'll reveal. I put it on Twitter, but I've been checking every Saturday morning inventory in my area, and I'm in Connecticut, so I can see New York City, I can see Massachusetts, Boston area, and Rhode Island. So last week there were 92 Model Ys and 25 Model 3s in stock. Now there are 62 Model Ys and 49 Model 3s. So my guess is because they did the price changes yesterday, they got a shipment of Model 3s in over the last week. And now, as we see on the chart here, like that's plummeting nationwide. Is that just
Like
US there?
that's
Yep, that's
just
US. Okay.
this is US, yeah. And it's within a day. Like I think
Yeah.
by tomorrow, day after, stock's gonna go back to zero if they don't, resupply as quick.
Right. So this is gonna and so I was talking with Alexandra last night, and our thoughts on the fact that they waited 12 days to do this was probably because of the fact that they wanted to build up inventory since they had none at the end of last year. So now
That's
they've
true.
built up inventory. Now we can deplete that inventory as they continue to ramp up production. And that's probably another reason why they said the prices are good until March, because if people are buying at this price, they won't need to drop it down because they want to make sure that they can keep up with production. You have to remember that
That's
their
true.
their ideal lead time is 6 weeks. 42 days
Yeah.
of inventory is what they ideally want of lead time. So, they're going to sell everything. So it's just a matter of, like you said before, this is the pricing power. These are the demand levers that they
Yeah.
can pull. They got inventory, bam, you've got instant demand because you just dropped the prices.
Yeah, exactly. And like, man, I don't like, geez, I just had a thought in mind. I just forgot it. But like, man, that drop is just absolutely
Oh
insane.
yeah.
And
Well,
my,
and
my
to
que-
this guys to the comment, their point there's too, if you want to phrase it properly, it would be there's too much supply for the current prices, and that's it. So when you
well, yeah,
drop the
we're
prices, then the demand goes back up. And that there is that pricing power that people need to remember that Tesla has. Is sure, if they keep on going up on prices, the demand's going to go down. That's exactly what they did over the last 2 years. That was intentional. Now they're
yeah.
intentionally dropping the prices to bring the demand back up.
Don't forget we're in a recession, so really, it's not only Tesla that's facing a demand
Right.
problem. It's everybody in the whole industry. No one
Exactly.
really buys vehicles in a recession, but if Tesla can price cuts within a day 20%, and you see this massive demand, just it's like just it's like a roller coaster going down, right? I'm just saying, man, this is why I'm going all into Tesla, man. The pricing power and like the fact that they can do another price cut in the next couple of months or so, and just like, you know, sell every single vehicle that they can in their inventory is absolutely flipping ridiculous.
Oh, exactly.
Now,
They have complete control this year, and they just
oh
started
yeah,
playing offense. As Gary Black said, Tesla's playing offense right now. And they came out and they said, "Fine, IRS, you want to throw this at us? Here you go. Everybody else, now you're gonna now come at us. See what you got, because we're making profits and you're not, and we're dropping our prices and still making profits. So it's
yeah, and
it's
it's funny
it's
because
now
like
on you."
who like at these prices with a 75% EV, I think if you do the math for the Model 3, it's like 36,000.
Yep. And look, and what was everybody barking about? Tesla needs a $30,000 vehicle, and now we're at
Like, and
36,000. And again,
it's
they can pull it down more if they wanted to. So
that's I don't know why would anyone else, at this time would like pick another vehicle than a Tesla at this point. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But what I do want to find out is the Tesla US prices. What was baffled to me is the fact that prices for Tesla, looking at this data, was not less than the prices of 2021.
Yep.
Like really, in essence, they didn't really drop. I mean, look at this Model X, 20,000, 20,000 more compared to 2021. Model S Plaid, only 5,000 less. Model S Long Range, up 15,000. Model Y Performance, down only 3,000. Model Y Long Range, up 3,000. So, like, majority of it were still more than 2021.
Oh, yeah. And one thing that some people aren't putting into their calculations is the fact that when it comes to material prices, those are now down close to what we
Yes.
saw like late 2020 before the supply chain issues really came in. So we've got material costs are significantly lower, which is what Tesla has been telling us. This is why they're able to bring the prices down. And don't forget, they're now coming to economies of scale. We're now
Oh,
getting
yeah.
Berlin and Austin a higher ramp rate right now. So those economies of scales are kicking in. And when you go to the very bottom line, the ramp costs of both of those factories are almost done and paid for. So we're now at the point where both of those factories are running profitable and we just go up from here.
That's true. And like, knowing that the cost of goods, not the cost of goods, the expenses and the raw material has gone down, would that mean, and I want your opinion on this, Oracle, would you believe that the margins aren't as low as we may think they are?
Yeah, I think that's really what we have to remember is like if Tesla was basically the last 2 years kind of like pushing slowly from that 25 up to the 30% range. And then we came back down when we, started ramping up Berlin and Austin. And then we had the shutdown in Shanghai that squashed them a bit too. But that was when the costs kept going up. Now, with Tesla coming down on the prices now, we may see a bigger margin hit early on, like in Q1, maybe Q2, just because the prices are down, but they're still facing a lot of the higher material costs right now. As we
Right.
get further on, when we're looking at the futures of material costs, production costs will be significantly less in 6 to 12 months, but the prices of vehicles will be sold at these prices now. So we'll see margins continue to march up over the course of the year.
I see. Because what I'm trying to figure out is in Q1 of 2021, because that's if we look here, that's January 2021. That's where we're pretty much at, and give or take, right?
Yeah.
We had about a 26% gross margin for the automotive gross margin, and at that time they delivered about only 184,000 vehicles.
Yeah.
Most likely in Q1 we're going to sell 450. I'm thinking around the 450s, 460s mark.
Yeah.
If I mean, if they continue to cut prices, maybe even 500 could be a possibility. I don't know. So
Sure.
literally, you're 3xing your deliveries, and you have the benefit of economy of scale. Yes, you're reducing down prices, but at that time, the same prices, give or take, was around 26.5% as a gross margin. So what I'm thinking is that the gross margin could be almost nearly the same
Yeah.
of in Q1 of 2023.
Yeah, that could be. And like looking at the fact that the lead times are basically gone. So whereas the last couple of years there was that lag, so we were like, well, the costs have gone up, but Tesla's been, they sold these vehicles back in March, but they didn't deliver them until November. So we had to try and play that pricing game to see what the average sales price was of the vehicles. Now it's almost instant with no lead time whatsoever right now. We can go on the prices are now what the average selling price is going to be now. It makes doing that math a lot easier. And it makes coming up with deliveries a lot easier because, while we still have the delivery wave that we're going to be smoothing out, because there's no lead time, you can basically say whatever Tesla has produced, they've delivered. So that's going to make it a very easy number to come up with on that aspect until the last couple of weeks of the quarter. So it should be a lot easier to determine deliveries right now. So like you
That's true.
said, if we're looking at 450, it's, whatever production is, we can almost assume that deliveries are going to be relatively the same.
Oh, so you're saying that whatever they produce is going to be the same level
I
of
think
like.
so, especially in seeing the inventory dropping right now the way it is. They're basically going to get to the point where every vehicle that they sell is or produce is going to be sold almost
That's true.
immediately.
That's
So
true.
if that's the case, then it's almost instant deliveries. There's usually at least a week lead time just to get them produced to delivery anyway. So there's that 1 week lag. When it comes to Shanghai, you're going to have the exports that are going overseas. I don't know when they're going to start it. Normally, it's like the 21st of the month. They start doing the exports for the third month of the year. So
Yeah.
whether that's going to play out again the same, I'm not sure. But because of the fact that lead times are the way they are right now, it's going to be almost instant production to delivery.
Yeah. And what I'm really curious to know is that the operating margin, what's going to be for Q1. I mean,
That's
I'm seeing 5.7%, and that's like, at the same prices. But again, this was like we had Berlin, Austin ramping up with no, I guess you can say, generating profits. So I guess it ate through it. But I don't know. I'm still leaning between 12 to 15%, 16% even for Q1.
yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
We have to
because
see.
so what was it? I'm looking at it now. So we had Q3 of what 14.7. You said is that operating margins 14.7? So
This is 2021. So
oh, where's Q4 of 20? So yeah, so if we're comparing it to 21 based upon the costs, that
yeah,
might be the same, but there's so many other things that they've done to reduce costs. So if we're looking at Q4 of 2022, I want to say it was around, I think it's actually around the same mark. I could be wrong. But I think that's the piece that a lot of people are maybe surprised by. So yes, people can say we only had 40% growth in deliveries, but when you're paying your bills with the bottom line profits. That's
yeah,
what it comes down to. So what is EPS growth? Because if EPS growth is still going to be 50%, that's going to open
mm,
up a lot of people's eyes.
that's true. Yeah, that's true. We'll see what happens in Q1. I'm more curious about Q1 than Q4, to be honest with you. So let's see what's going to happen. And here's the prices, man. Like, I mean, when you look at this, like, if I'm a consumer, right? I think Farzad made this chart, if I'm not mistaken. If he did, shout out to him. But if I'm a customer and I'm looking at all these, like, comparing EVs, right? Because these are all EVs. I'm gonna look at the price. Okay, Tesla, and then you have Volkswagen, Ford, Hyundai, Kia, all these other guys, and then I look at the, prices after the EV cuts. Like Model 3 is $36,000.
Yeah,
Why?
that's
Like why? Like, just why think, and why think of other? I don't know. I am biased towards Tesla. I'm not gonna lie, but like $36,000
yeah,
for a Tesla. Like that was like, you know, 43,000. No, more than that, because that's what the price cut. It was like 50,000. I don't know. I don't know why would someone else pick another vehicle, knowing the fact how, what you get with getting a Tesla. I don't know.
oh, I know. Well, and it's one of those things where like you're almost comparing premium to regular, but the premium is the same price as the regular. So why would you not get the premium? Like it's
That's
like
true.
there's so much added bonus you get, and I don't know. It's the prices coming down the way they are, and average vehicle prices. I want to say they just recently were like 44 or 46,000 for just an average price of a vehicle in the U.S. And now look at the Model 3. I mean, heck, even after the EV tax credit, the Model Y is now at that range as well.
That's true. And look at that 42 grand for a model. Sorry, 43 grand for a Model Y, man. That's
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I went through inventory because they didn't list it initially in the price cuts because it's not on custom order, but even the long range Model 3 also got a price cut.
nice.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
So
that's their
and it's nice
goals. Yeah,
seeing those
so
because like now I'm toying like what do I get? I want to get a long range. I want all-wheel drive. I live in Connecticut. It snows. It's cold. We get ice. So I want to have something reliable with all-wheel drive. Model Y makes more sense because if I can spend $3,000 more to get a Y over the 3, that's a no-brainer to me. So I have a feeling
that's
they're going to
true.
come down on those prices for the Model 3s also.
Yeah, so like going back to this chart, the question that I have is that once it reaches, I don't know, zero stock, I guess, or just all the way down.
Which at this rate
Um,
is going to be tomorrow.
yeah, at this rate, it's going to be flipping tomorrow. Just look at that chart. The question is that is Tesla, is there going to be another wave of this? Like, what I'm trying to say is that yes, it went like in what is it, January 4th, they hit zero, and then they waited 12 days, like you said, and then they announced another price cut, and now it's going back down. Do you think they can do the same thing again once they go to zero? or close to zero. They're going to wait maybe a bit longer, and then they're going to announce another price cut within the next, let's say beginning of February, and then we're going to see another wave going down.
I don't think so, because of the fact that we are seeing inventory drop as quickly as it is right now. Tesla's now going to take this. We're going to take a look at it for the entire quarter, and they're going to say, all right, where are we at? Because they don't, they're going to, this here telling me this here. I have a feeling by next week, we're going to see lead times starting to build up. So whereas,
Nice.
right now, if I look at it, try and order a Model Y, it tells you January to March of 2023. So I have a feeling by the time we get to probably end of next week, we're going to start seeing February to April. And then we're going to start seeing March to June. And those are going to be the lead times. And now we're going to start seeing those get pushed out. That's where Tesla can say, all right, now lead times are getting a bit longer. So we're going to leave prices low like this, try to build up inventory with production as quickly as possible to lower those lead times down. Once they get to a good balance with the production ramps, then they're going to be able to say, okay, at this point here, inventory is starting to build up again. Now we'll drop that demand lever again, drop the prices, wipe out the inventory. So I think it's going to come down to timing. So whether it's going to be March or April timeframe, I think it's all going to depend on how the demand shows over the next 2 months. But I have no doubt if they end up getting to the point where production has caught up to the demand, then they're going to end up dropping the prices again.
Yeah, that makes more sense, and I think Kairav here, agrees with you there.
Oh yeah, he's my boy. He's like my channel's
Yeah.
personal Troy Tesla. He's awesome. I love him.
Yeah, he does the same with my channel too, like commenting in every single one
yeah.
of them. So shout out to this guy, man. This guy's
Yeah,
cool.
Karav is awesome. If you guys don't follow him, Tesla Karav over on Twitter, he's awesome.
Yeah, shout out to him. And another cool comment here, another good comment here from JL Lizard. I think he's saying that instead of paying $1 billion for a Super Bowl commercial, Tesla's giving $1 billion to customers in savings. I mean, he's not wrong there,
Yeah. We're not going to advertise. We're just going to drop our prices and they're going to sell themselves. And that's all that matters.
That's all that matters. Yeah, that's all that matters. Flipping Tesla, man.
Yeah.
That's why I love them. That's why I love them. Now, let's move on to now, knowing all this, do you think we're at the bottoming stage for Tesla stock? I know it's hard to tell, but in your opinion, no. Okay, well,
no.
What's your reasoning?
My reasoning is the same reason we've basically come down all year. You can throw out there all the Twitter drama and stuff that Elon did and him selling shares. And no, of course, that did not help the stock whatsoever. That did cause it to come down and probably underperform more than it would have, but it was going to sell off anyway. The entire market sold off. That's just where we're at. We're in a bear market. Equities don't mean anything right now. People sold out, put it elsewhere. But money is going to start coming back into equities. My guess is they're starting to trickle in now, but it won't happen bigger until the end of this year or beginning of 2024. But we still have the Fed that's going up on interest rates. We still don't know what they're going to do. They're going up at least 25 basis points, maybe 50. We still have a lot of drama in Tesla itself. We've got Elon, unfollowing Kimball, all this family drama. 4 board members are leaving. We've got the shareholder day coming up in mid-May. So I think that's going to clarify a lot of things. But I think between now and May, and I was talking to Alexandra last night about it, and she thinks, we're going to see a lot of drama between now and then that the media is going to play with, along with the macro still with, I think we have one more pull down left to go. How far it's going to come, I don't know. But we still have to worry about, potential recession earnings. Like we're about to get all the big tech earnings coming in. They're going to be reflecting a poor holiday season. So we're going to be seeing, a lower tech earnings coming across. So we're going to see a lot of this reflecting in the numbers. I think we have one more drop to go. Things are going well right now. So my worst case scenario was $57. My kind of middle of the road was about 80. And my best case scenario was 100, and we hit 101. So looking at the charts, and I followed this when we were at that 313 level, we just could not break it. We're doing that at 122 right now. Just cannot break it. So unless we get some surprise that comes out over the next 2 weeks with earnings, I think we're going to end up bouncing down. I think we're going to see near-term pain, and we're going to see a price maybe coming down to that $80 level. But then after that, we're going to have institutional money starting to come in nicely, and we're going to start building up nice from there.
Now, what do you think is going to cause that big drop? That's
I
what I'm
think what's going to
curious to
cause
know.
I think what's going to cause the big drop is just going to be the thoughts of a recession. I think there's going to be just I don't want to say a short push to get the market down further, but I think it's just going to be that one last step. I think there's just one little group of people that need to get flushed out. I don't think there's been full capitulation that the market has wanted to see yet, and so we're going to see that kind of recessionary talk come through, and people kind of get into that little bit of a last panic mode. So if you ever look at that, that chart, and I know you've posted as well, where it's like, are we in panic, capitulation, depression, or anything like
Oh
that?
yeah.
And you see in the depression where there's that one last little dip where everybody thinks, all right, we're finally in the clear. Then you get that last little dip before you come up. I think that's the dip we're about to see.
Well, I kind of low key hope you're right because I would like to load up more. I've been
Yeah, my
holding
my
cash
my.
just for that.
Yes, my goal is to get to 200 by the end of the year, and I think I'll be able to get there. But with a price drop like that in the stock, I'll
Oh
definitely be
yeah,
able to get there.
yeah. If it goes to 80, man, I
Yeah.
don't know. Probably gonna have to sell this disc and mic for to buy more shares.
Just filming from your camera on the streets next to a dumpster, whatever, man.
Yeah,
It's all in
whatever it
Tesla.
is. Yeah, it's only Tesla.
Oh man. But yeah, and,
But
and I think, I mean, as of right now, unless we get a deep recession, I still have a price target at the end of the year of 346. So, I
yeah,
mean,
I think what Tesla should be worth at the moment is around the 225 to 250s. But if we were in a bull market, then easily in the 300s,
oh
easily
yeah.
in the 300s. But we're not. We're not. I mean,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
Bears are winning
And,
at the moment.
oh yeah.
What
And
to
that's
do?
one of the things that a lot of people have to remember is this cycle happens almost every 10 years. It's like clockwork. So you see it happen almost every 10 years. And of course, it's always a different reason for whatever comes up, but it's
Yeah,
every 10 years we see something like this. And this is why Warren Buffett is as wealthy as he is. He knows this 10-year cycle. He plays the 10-year cycle. Obviously, he does a lot of other things as well. But when you play a
mhm,
10-year cycle and you're like, all right, I know every 10 years we're going to get 2 years of amazing buying times. So I'm going to build up all I can, save my cash. And then during those times, I'm going to buy wisely at those times and then dollar cost average on the way out of this. And then when we come out of it, then he's just wise with his buys, find some good value plays here and there. As we get to the end of that run, that bull run, he starts to sell off a lot of things, saves up that cash, has that patience for about a year, waits for it to come down, deploys cash again. That's the
let the
simple game that
cash.
he plays. But so many people are so focused on today, this week, even just one
Yeah,
year that they end up losing money because they're impatient. That's really what it is. And as
you know
Warren
what? You know
Buffett
what?
said, go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Go. You finish it off.
And as
Yeah,
Warren
because it's
Buffett said,
interesting.
as Warren Buffett said, the stock market is really just a transfer of wealth from the impatient to the patient. That's all it is.
That's true. That's what it is. And the longer you wait in it, the more. And speaking of, like you said, I like what you said that people want to see instant gains. They saw the 2020, going to the moon, and they want that again. Unfortunately for Tesla or anyone, that's not really going to happen again. The max I can see Tesla doing such a thing again is probably when FSD gets solved, and that's probably at 2 or 3x. And
Yeah,
that's max. I don't
yeah.
see it going up in 10 unless we have another pandemic coming on, another pandemic happening, and another 10 trillion gets pumped in the system. Then maybe yes, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Now, I do want to show you this part because let me go ahead and do the screen share again because I think this is very important. So I made this chart. I've been getting ready to make another video, but I've been, making this chart to see how many vehicles will be on the road by 2030. And as you can see, I got an ultra bear case all the way to the ultra bull case. And
Okay.
yeah, I know most of you guys are going to look at this and say, "Oh man, what is this? 1.8 million vehicles deliveries in 2023. You're such a bear, man." I know I have to like readjust this, but I'm keeping things very
That's
conservative now.
that's where I've got it. I've got it 1.8 to 2 million this year so far. With Tesla dropping the prices, I may bump that up, but you're right in line where I've got it too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If they continue to drop prices, then I am convinced that we can hit 2 million this year. Like,
Yeah, because
I,
my before they dropped prices, my bear was 1.6, base was 1.8, and bull was 2.0. That's gone up by 200,000 now that they've dropped the prices. So I'm
yeah,
1.8, 2, and 2.2.
exactly. Yeah. So I'm thinking around there. My original case for 2023 was around 2.3, 2.4, but I don't know. Recession time, bear market. It's hard to see that number. But anywho, if they continue to cut prices, then easily 2 million. But let's just put 1.8 million for 2023 just to stay conservative. And you know, let's look at the base case. Actually, let's look at the ultra bold case. We have 80 if because sorry, right now we have about 3.5 million vehicles of Tesla vehicles on the road.
Yeah.
3.5 million around that. So if they do 25 million vehicles by 2030, then if you add all that up and add the current how many vehicles are on the road now, that's about almost 80 million vehicles on the road. But can they do 25 million by 2030? I don't think so. I'm gonna keep it on the bear side just to keep it conservative. You know, I like to keep things conservative. Now,
Yes.
what I want to point out here is that those who are investing in Tesla, this is a 2030 thing, and I want to show you guys something. Just doing some paper math that how cheap Tesla is now compared to what it would be in 2030. So let's look at the bear market for Tesla, 15 million vehicles by 2030. So let's do 50 million vehicles. How much do you think per vehicle are going to be sold at that volume, Oracle?
What do you mean? But
Like by 2030, each vehicle is going to be sold at an average selling price at what
the
cost?
average selling price.
Yeah,
I would say at that time, I think I have it at like 35,000 because by then I would assume that they're going to have significantly lower. So 35,000 is where I have it.
35,000. That is about $525 billion in just revenue. Let's give it a 20% margin. 20% is conservative, right?
Yep.
Okay, so 8% margin, that's about $105 billion in profits. Let's round that down to 100 billion. All right, so let's keep that number in mind, 100 billion. Now let's look at the FSD because by 2030, FSD should be solved. I mean, I'm under the impression that by 2030, FSD should be mainly solved. So let's say at the bear case, we have total vehicles of 55.8, let's say 55 million vehicles on the road. Let's say half of them opt in for the FSD. Okay, that's about 27.5 million vehicles that would opt in. Now, let's say each of them do monthly subscription base of $199 a month. Now, I know by 2030 it's probably going to be $299 or $399, but let's just go forward with the information that we have now. That's about 5.5 billion in revenue in just a single month. If you multiply that by 12 to make it yearly, that's almost $66 billion in just revenue alone. Profits. Now, a lot of institutes are saying that Tesla FSD by 2030 will have a profit margin of 60% because it's just a software.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that, Oracle?
Oh, I do because look at Apple. Anything that's software based right now, it could even be higher than 60. I think 60 is a conservative number to go with for sure.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's say 50% to be even more conservative.
Yes.
All right. So 50%. That's $33 billion in just FSD. Let's add them both together. Let's say it was 100, that's 100 million, 100 billion. That's $132 billion in profits. What multiple would you give Tesla by 2030, Oracle?
Oh, man. On a very conservative level, we can go with a 30.
30. Okay. A 30 PE or multiple.
Well, so now here it's really tough because so if we're going strictly off of this, assuming that there is no Optimus, we can say a 20.
Yes.
No Optimus, we can go with a 20 as conservative.
Let's go 130 billion. And there's no energy. I'm not doing any energy here as well. It's just the FSD
so
and
just this, I would go with a 20.
20 PE. That's a market cap of $2.6 trillion. Now, obviously, if you add the energy and everything else on top of that, we're going to get a whole lot more. But just think about it. The market cap right now is what? Almost 400 billion. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a 7x. That's a 7x from now till 2030. If you just take an FSD at a conservative rate and vehicles at a bearish rate. So, I mean, why is this such a one-week investment? I don't understand.
Exactly. And I had Brian on from My Tesla Weekend, and we were discussing when it comes to FSD and solving it. And even if someone else, let's say, solves it first, as he said, you need to have a vehicle platform that can take it. And they don't have that. Tesla does. So it would still take any competitor 3 to 5 years to come up with a vehicle to put it into that platform. So that would still give Tesla another 3 to 5 year window to solve FSD and have it out on the road first, functionally, before anyone else.
Exactly. Exactly. And I can't wait for that day to come. It's gonna be, I don't know. Yeah, I feel it's gonna be like late 20, yeah, early 2020, late 2019 all over again, where the stock just jumps
Oh
massively
yeah.
again.
I'm
Because
still
FSD
seeing
is a whole
20.
different beast.
Oh yeah, I'm still seeing 2025 is going to be that next parabolic jump in the stock price. Because I think at that point is
2025.
we're going to be past at that point basically is where the Fed is going to be coming down, I think, on rates to that 2% level that we want to see it at. So rates are going to be elevated one more time. They're going to end up being kind of sideways for the majority of this year, maybe pivot in Q4, maybe pivot in Q1 of 2024. Then they're going to come down on rates. 2024, we're going to start seeing the market recovering. 2025, they're going to come down on rates again, come down closer to where they want to have it at that 2% range. And then the market is going to hit that roaring 20s, as Kathy Wood talks about. And 2025, we're going to have a massive jump.
Do you really think the Fed's going to cut it in 2024? I think it's going to be earlier, in my opinion.
After seeing inflation right now, I was predicting Q1 or Q2 of 2024. I'm now predicting probably Q4 of 2023. I'm going to guess maybe by December, we're going to end up seeing the pivot happening.
Yeah, speaking of inflation, I had the charts here. Recently, what is it, January 2023? Yeah, that's where we ended off. It was at 6.5%. You know, this chart kind of worries me a little bit. I'm not going to lie. Even though it looks very, very nice, the food and energy section, the service, that is on the incline.
Yeah.
Energy is the main thing that's taking down inflation.
Um,
So,
yeah, I see that. And so the services, that one there, we have to remember too, this is another reason why the Fed wants to stay hawkish. And you start looking at employment, and that's the next piece of it because services ties in with employment significantly.
yeah,
So
yeah,
when you put those two together and you're seeing employment still going up, that's why watching the wages not go up as high as we thought they were going to go was big, because that there means that we're now okay squashing the employment, and it sucks. And I thought about it the other day. From a capitalist standpoint, you don't want to have employees ruling the show. That's just how it works. You need to make sure that employees are coming out. They're going to be working as hard as they can be working for your business to drive it forward. So you don't want to be in a position where you can't find enough employees and then you have to keep on paying, I don't want to say underskilled employees, but employees that probably don't deserve to be in their positions because there's other people out there and you're paying them a lot more than maybe what their skill is because you need a body. And we need to switch that dynamic right now and go back to a position where employers can be like, all right, I can now pick and choose from you. It was like colleges. When colleges, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Accepted. And one of the things that they talk about is what gives a college prestige is not how many graduates they have, but it's how many rejections they have. How many people have they rejected from their college? Same holds true with employers. How many people are they rejecting? You look at SpaceX and Tesla, engineers want to go work for those too.
yeah,
And they're rejecting a lot of people because they're the top dog. That's what we need to have more across the board with employers is employers having that ability to reject people because they have so many employees who want to work for them. We have the opposite of that right now. So the
yeah.
Fed that needs to get flipped and then we'll end up seeing services come down. We'll see wages level off more than they are. And I think that's what's going to happen. But going back to the point of why I think the stock is going to come down more, we have to go through that first. We've got probably
Jeez.
6 months, 3 to 6 months of that pain of kind of getting some layoffs, getting some employment settling. And then once we hit that, then we can come back up and employers can be in control again.
Yeah, that's, I mean, that's the scary part because, I mean, will raising interest rates, will that actually help the unemployment? Because, I mean, if interest rates were at 0% a year ago from today, and now it's at almost at 5%, and we see, like, just look at that. Look at the green going
Oh
up.
yeah. Well,
I mean,
so
the
and
blue going
it's
up. So
it,
it's a little concerning that I don't know how they're going to control this.
well, it's going to help it because when you start going up with interest rates as much as they are, usually labor is the highest cost any business has. So when you go up with interest rates like that, when employers need to spend money to build the business, they're going to say, well, my highest cost is payroll, but I need to pay for these things. And because I need to pay for these things and take a loan, I'm going to have to pay for even more. So that means I have to cut labor out in order to get the other things that I need for my business to move forward. Whether it's going to be leasing places, just buying goods in general. If they need to take a loan for any reason, they're going to be paying a lot more on that loan. So in turn, they're going to end up cutting labor out because that's what they have to do in order to do this. So they're going to force their employees to do more for less, which I know from an employee standpoint, that sucks because it feels like that's what happens all the time, regardless of the market. But that's just realistically what ends up happening when the Fed goes up with rates is employers then have to choose to cut payroll, then their employees do more for less. And that in turn balances it off. So that's what's going to end up happening. And until we see that, I mean, employment's the lowest it's been in, I think, since 2020, they said 3.5%. So that's awesome. That's what we want, is low unemployment. But unfortunately, it's not the place we need to be right now for the Fed to be able to pivot.
And I was reading the Fed doctrine the other day. It's saying that they want to try bring down inflation in a way that, employment is at a maximum employment, which is like, well, I don't think that's going to happen anymore because it keeps going.
Because you're never ever going to get to 0% unemployment. I mean, until we get Optimus out here and Optimus is going to be running the show and nobody needs to work, then of course we'll be fine. However, until we get to that point, like there's always going to be people, and don't forget when they're factoring out unemployment, like there's a lot of people who don't even get counted in that because they only account for people who have filed for unemployment. And if their unemployment has run out and they haven't found a job, they kind of fall off the radar. So you don't even see that happening. But I think, we'll probably end up seeing unemployment come back up to 4%. And at that point, I think we'll be in probably a better shape for the Fed to pivot. But I'd rather not see it, but unfortunately, I think that's where we're headed.
Yeah, and knowing all this, I don't think the next month's inflation report, the CPI report, is going to be as much of a sharp drop because of that high employment. I think it's going to be, if they're going to predict, let's say 5.9%, we're probably going to be at maybe 6.2, 6.1.
I was guessing 6.1 for the next one. And you have to remember too, going year over year, last year inflation was high. So going year over year is not as good of a gauge. Going month to month and seeing that we came in at negative 0.1% month over month, that's huge because that is deflationary pressure. And so if that continues, that could also lead to what we're calling the recession because you're going to have negative GDP based upon that. And so if that's end up happening, then we're in that recession. And how long does that recession last? How deep does it go? That we just have to pay attention to.
Yeah, if that's the case, then I guess you're right. There is more downside, and we'll snatch Tesla at $80.
Yeah, and now just to be sure with everybody, I don't want the stock price to come down. I mean, I do because I want to buy more for less.
Yeah,
my long-term thesis, I have planned for this, and I was talking to who the heck was I talking to the other day on this? Just discussing how your basic strategy that you'd want to go to into these situations is exactly what Tesla did: have a stockpile of cash, have plenty of cash flow coming in, and have no debt. If you have those three things, you are primed and ready to go. And these are exciting times for you because that's where I'm at. I got myself out of debt. I've been busting my butt with the channel, my job. I've just whatever I can to earn more money. And I've got cash that's been sitting on the sides awaiting opportunities to buy. So for me, it's exciting for this. And I know many of you guys out there are probably all in on Tesla and you don't have those options. Go get a second job. I know some people I've been talking to on my channel who are in retirement. They're coming out of retirement just so they can work to earn more money so they can buy more Tesla. And it's because this year, it's because this year is going to be the year where we can really buy as much as we can. In the history of Tesla's stock itself being public, we've never had a bear market. Well, not like this. We've never had a recessionary bear market. We've had a couple along the way for short stints of time, but nothing like this, nothing like the 2008, 2009 recession. So for anybody who wasn't able to buy prior to 2019, now we've got our opportunity. So again, I think long-term, like you said, at minimum 7x by 2030. So if I can have the stock price drop to $80, that now bumps it up to what? Like a 14x. So like that's bonkers to be able to do that. So yes, I want the stock price to come down in the near term so I can buy as much as possible, but I'm not rooting for it. I'm not shorting the stock or anything like that. I just trying to be realistic. I think that's something that we can see in the near term. And I know dealing with all the pain that everybody dealt with last year with the stock price coming down 70%.
Yeah, that was
One of those things
painful
where
for a lot of people.
if you're prepared for it and you understand why the things are happening the way they're happening, you don't get as emotional about it. And if anything, you get emotionally excited about it because now you can buy more for less. And that's one of the reasons I try to educate people on that in the near term. I'm a long-term bull, but just educating on the near term to understand why the stock does what it does helps you take your emotions out, keeps you from panic selling. You know, there's no reason to get emotional over this. You know, just play it wisely.
Yeah, exactly. And when you're doing an investment, like for example Tesla or any other investment, this it's always a long-term thing. There's never a quick get rich quick scheme
No.
on in this investment or even any legitimate investment that you want to do.
Yeah.
Just it's not, it doesn't exist. It just, I mean, unless you bought Tesla 2019 and then you 20x in 2022 in 2020, then that's just luck. That's just
Oh
pure
yeah.
luck.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. You timed that very well. In most cases, probably by accident. Like Alexandra, I
Yeah.
know she said, I guess it was like during the COVID crash where she got into a Tesla for the first time and she's like, we have to buy stock. And they dumped everything and bought in at the very bottom of the COVID drop. Like, and it wasn't because they were paying attention to it or trying to time the bottom. They just drove a Tesla, got excited, went all in, done. And they just happened to time it just right.
Wouldn't that be a time? So I remember myself. I was in that crash and I had cash ready. I was buying other stocks. I wasn't buying Tesla. I was so tempted to buy Tesla. I'm like, it went down to pre split. It went down to $300, which if you do post split now, that's like
15, 20, wait.
10 bucks, $15, something like
Yeah.
that. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. I'll just buy another stock.
Yeah.
That was a bad opportunity. That was a great opportunity, but with a bad, um, a bad choice to get the other stuff. I mean, other stocks did well. I mean, everything did well in
Oh, yeah.
2020. It didn't matter what you
Yeah.
bought, but
Yeah. If you bought between March and May of 2020, you didn't go wrong. The only thing
yeah,
you
you
would
didn't go.
maybe have gone wrong with if you sold too soon. That would have been it. But I
Yeah,
guarantee
that,
you made profits on stuff.
yeah. So you're saying by 2024, the next bull run's going to start, and
I think so, because at that point there, the Fed pivoting has always indicated a bull run. Typically, based upon charts that I've seen, you get the anticipation of the pivot. So you get a little bit of a run into that pivot. At the pivot, you get a sell the new situation, you get a V bounce. And when we come out of that V bounce, you kind of look at how did the Fed monetary policy affect the economy? And within a month or so afterwards, you kind of see, all right, so it's doing well. We will continue on this bull run, or it didn't work. And then we're going to level off and maybe come down a little bit. So we'll get that V bounce, come back up, see how the economy is doing. I have a feeling the economy is going to be doing very well, and we'll take off from there.
yeah, I think I'm more optimistic. I think, well, after doing more research together, saying that with seeing the unemployment rate is going to affect the inflation, and Fed's going to be more aggressive towards that. Yeah, I think late 2023 sounds more like it.
Yeah, and it totally could. So and for when it comes to Tesla stock itself, going back to what you said before, how we're not going to get that super run up any like we did in 2020. Thing to pay attention to is Moody's is going to end up giving Tesla their investment grade upgrade probably in the next 2 weeks, right after, maybe right before earnings. What's going to end up happening is more institutions are going to get in. When more institutions get into the stock, we're going to have more of a smooth climb rather than this rush. Now, this past week, we saw Vanda came out and said that $316 million in retail sales in Tuesday, 300 million more on Wednesday. How much of that is margin? I don't know. But when it comes to institutions buying, they don't buy on margin. They're buying with actual true money. So that's going to be more solid. So there's going to be less of this bubble being created when more institutions get in. And then, of course, the higher Tesla's credit rating goes, the more institutional money will come in as well. So this is why we're going to see more of an Apple-esque type growth coming out of this than what we saw in 2020. So it's still going to grow very strong and very well, in my opinion, but it's not going to have that that FOMO rush that we saw for 2 years.
Except for Tesla stock, I think we're going to see a lot of.
Well, we will see that, but I think a lot of it's going to be mitigated because what you have to remember too is when institutions get in, like for instance, ARK's fund, they cap it at 10%. So if we see the stock really taking off from retail institutions will end up selling to bring their portfolios down to those levels. So there's going to be a lot of institutional selling along the way as retail buys on the way up, just because they need to keep their portfolios balanced. So that's a lot of the reason why you don't see those massive runs with high institutional holdings.
That's true. I don't know. I'm still thinking that the next bull run, and we talked about this on your channel too, is that it's gonna be a violent bull run. It's gonna be like probably one of the best bull runs in the stock market history.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's going to be crazy. And the thing to pay attention to, and while we're not going to see probably a sharp spike up in Tesla stock, it's going to grow by leaps and bounds on a steady basis. That's going to be the insane part. Is
Yeah.
you have to remember that, all these valuations, everything come right down to EPS. So what is Tesla bringing in for bottom line profits? And with energy coming up, with insurance, with FSD getting solved, who knows what they're going to put in for software? If robotaxis hit the road, who knows how they're going to end up running that, if they're going to be having fleets on the road. So many different things out there that are going to be high margin for Tesla to bring money to the bottom line. If that EPS is growing at 25% every quarter, we're going to see the stock price grow 25% every quarter. I mean, well, maybe not that much, but it's going to go up incrementally with that as the stock price goes. And that's really just how the growth is going to be over the years. So even if you put a low, even if people are crazy enough to say that Tesla's PE is 10 to 20, every single time you see the EPS go up every quarter when the earnings come out, the stock price is going to jump up to that next level because we're like, all right, well, the PE now came down to 7 and it shouldn't be at 7. So we're going to run the stock price back up to where it should be with its EPS or with its PE.
Yeah, it's gonna be like you said. It's gonna be closer to like with Apple, with what when they would keep. I remember it was like 2017, 2018, where every single quarter that they did a record quarter, and the stock would jump up like 3%, 4, 5%.
Yep,
that's exactly
what we're going to see every single time.
Same. I have that. I think so too. That's exactly what we're going to see. Now, do you think this is what's going to happen in Q4 earnings? Do you think it's going to be a record earning? I mean, obviously, because it did record vehicle, it's definitely going to be record. But do you think it's going to be a miss?
I don't think it's going to be a miss. I think what's going to end up happening is they've already calculated out based upon 40% growth with all the deliveries. We know the delivery numbers, and everybody's valuation model starts with deliveries, because how many did they deliver? Then you put on your whatever you think the average selling price is onto that. And when you've got that, then you're like, all right, well, then what are the costs of manufacturing? So let's see if you throw on a 26% margin onto it for vehicle margins, you get your bottom line. But a lot of the things that people don't know are, what was the ramp costs? Are those coming down? What is economies of scale for that? What are the actual true costs? What costs did they cut when they, laid off some people as well? So there's a lot of things that we don't know. You can also look at like the end of the quarter wave. They didn't push out like as many ships as they did. That's a significant cost savings that they had there. So there's a lot of underlying costs that they could have cut that we don't know about. So that's why I want to see, based upon 40% year over year delivery growth, what is the EPS growth? Because if that is higher than the delivery growth, that tells me that they've been working really hard on that bottom line, and cost of materials are down, cost of production is down, and cost of operations are down. And that means that they're just going to keep on getting leaner. So the more they go up with their deliveries, they can offset any of these price cuts that they just had coming through.
Yeah, no, I agree. And what's your EPS estimate for Q4? For me, I have two EPS estimates. One without the FX currency, which would be $1.24, and I think the street is saying $1.22 for Tesla, which is pretty tough to hit $1 2022.
Oh yeah.
If the foreign exchange from yen to US isn't as bad, but
right.
If you take that into the fact that you remove the yen, or do the exchange from the yen to the USD, I think $1.15 is what I got, which is a miss, which is a pretty bad miss if the street's $1.22. So I'm like, sheesh, I don't know, man.
Yeah. And so for me right now, I've got to redo the numbers. I haven't jumped into my spreadsheet to update it with everything, but I had it at $1.27. So I've got to take a look.
Okay.
I've got to reassess some of the things, but I do have them beating, and I think it's because they've done a lot of things on the bottom line. So if Tesla has now said that because of costs coming down from materials.
$1.18.
So if they, yeah, so if they've come down with materials, material costs and everything, and they're now able to foresee what's going on 6 months down the road, and they come down on prices now, does that mean that the last 2 months they have been selling vehicles at higher prices but at lower costs? So if that's the case, does it offset? Or is this just a forward-looking statement? So we may end up seeing weaker EPS or weaker margins for the next 2 quarters because in the last 2 quarters of the year we're going to see massive jumps in the price in the margins. That part I don't know, but like I said, I've got to reassess some of my numbers. I haven't re-updated my spreadsheet, but the last I had it was $1.27.
$1.27 would be solid. And
Yeah,
shout out to JL Lizard for giving me a sticker. Thank you. My first sticker ever.
nice,
So
awesome.
I'm always gonna remember that. Yeah.
Jay Liz is my boy. I actually had him on my live stream when I did my open forum night. So awesome. I love it.
Nice. Yeah. Cool dude. Cool dude.
Oh yeah.
But let's see what happens Q4. I'm really looking forward to it. It can either, if it's a miss, the stock's gonna crash easy
Yeah.
10%.
And I think
at a record.
I think the scary part too is with tech earnings, like Tesla's just going to follow suit with tech earnings. Like we saw the last year when Netflix came out, because Netflix comes out on I think the 19th. So when Netflix posts their earnings, that usually kicks off tech earnings seasons. And like last couple of times they have come out not looking pretty. I think last quarter was fine, but like last year this time when they hit the stock, that was when the stock market started its super hard tumble. Was right after Netflix earnings. So we'll see what happens, because then a week after that we get Teslas, and and again, like
it's gonna be,
if tech isn't looking pretty, if tech is not looking pretty and Tesla comes in with a miss, it's going to be ugly. I think tech earnings week leading, and then of course that leads right into the FOMC meeting. So we can see an potentially ugly end to January. Which again, to some people, it's an ugly end to January. To those of us who are prepared for it and have that confidence that coming out of this, it's going to be even better. It's not an ugly end to January. It's an exciting end to January, because that means I can buy to make myself feel better. By the way, that's the reason why I buy every single day, because it makes me feel good.
Well, no, I mean, it just, Q4 is going to be a record, whether the EPS is a hit or a miss. It's going to be a record,
right?
I don't know. One guy here in the comments said it. I think he said it very well. He said, Eric S. The street wants to value Tesla like a car company, but punish them like a tech company.
That's a great point, and
it's
so true. It's so true. But this here to me is a great reason to pay attention, because that's where the disconnect really is
massive disconnect.
Is they're viewing it like a tech company, but they're valuing it like a car company. Eventually, they're going to start valuing it like a tech company. So when that time comes around, that's when a lot of light bulbs are going to go off. And when those light bulbs go off, the stock price is going to go up.
Yeah, and look, and I was at my previous video, my recent video, I was talking about the mega packs, and I was shocked. I was, after doing the numbers and everything, I was shocked on how big of a potential mega packs really are. Like this, after doing, I think someone said in the comments that, I'm not too sure if this is true or not, and those in the comments could reconfirm, or even you, Oracle, if you know. Apparently there's about 13,000 pre-orders for mega packs. I'm not too sure if that's true or not.
I don't know the specific number, but I do know that the lead time goes out to late summer of 2024.
Yeah, which is insane. And they just made a plan that they can do 10,000 units. Obviously, it's going to take a few years for them to ramp up to that 10,000 units. But if 10,000 units in a single year, 20 billion, and profits of, let's say, 20%, 4 billion to 5 billion profits from energy alone. I mean,
so
imagine,
and we were talking about it last night, and it sounds like I think the average price of, I think there's 2 different units you can get, and one of them is $9 million. But what it comes down to is they've got $9 million, and then there's the installation fees for like another $300,000. But we're still waiting to get clarification. Sounds like Tesla cannot recognize that revenue until it is actually plugged into the grid. So it can be delivered to the job site. It can be sitting there on the job site, but until it's actually plugged into the grid, they cannot recognize that revenue. sort of similar to like FSD, where until they have actually gotten themselves to the point where they have, people can use it, they can't recognize that revenue. It's almost the same thing with the mega packs. They can't recognize the revenue on it until that is a functional unit on the ground. So even if they get 10,000 put out, they might not be able to recognize that revenue. And a lot of it is all third party because it's installed by a third party. So if that third party vendor is delayed on installing and plugging it in, Tesla can't recognize that revenue. So I
didn't know that.
Yeah, this is we were talking about it last night, and so we don't have all the details specifically from Tesla, but it sounds like this is what their accounting has to do, is they can't recognize it. So it's still going to be great for the year. I mean, they're still going to sell all of these units, pushed out to 2024. So the faster they can ramp it up, I have a feeling we're going to end up seeing another Megapack factory announced this year as well, and so that's going to help speed up production also. And so energy is really going to be that sleeper that comes up. But if you figure if they're putting out 10,000 units a year and they're, selling them for $9 million on the low end each, and somebody was saying it's basically easy to find out the margins on them. You just look at, labor and parts and materials. Sounds like they're making like 50% margins on these. So I thought that was high, but this is what I was told is 50. And I'm like, so even if you're saying that $4.5 million of each one of these mega packs that goes out is going to hit the bottom line, and they're selling 10,000 a year, do the math on that. And that's just that money coming to the bottom line as well.
Yeah.
And so I think, I think this year is the first year we're actually going to see it, even by Q4, really showing and making a dent and making it be like, oh, this actually is moving the needle of the bottom line.
That's insane. Like, I mean, the S curve that we keep seeing all the time, where it shows the EVs, the FSD, the energy, and then the bot, which we hasn't even touched yet. But it's insane how energy, no one's talking about it, and no one's really interested in it. It's all about the vehicles and maybe the FSD once it becomes all like, regulated and good to go and approved. But you know what? Let these guys think that it's still a car company. Let them still think it's a car company. I love it the day that comes that FSA is approved and energy becomes 30% revenue and probably profits of the entire business. Maybe then the bears will go like, sorry guys, no longer a car company anymore.
Yeah, it's not a car company, but you're never going to get AI and Optimus up and running.
Yeah,
Well, and so and this is what I look at too, is, and I try to dive deep into things like, here as YouTube content creators, we have to play the algorithms, and the algorithms are based off of YouTube's or Google searches and all sorts of stuff. It's a game that as a YouTube content creator, it's a pain in the butt, something we got to do. But we recognize when all of a sudden certain keywords that we were using previously no longer show up anymore. They're not giving us the same views that we had before. And so looking at the fact that a lot of this is owned and regulated. We've seen with the Twitter files how there's so many people having their hands in the jar and saying, hey, this is what we want to have promoted and this is what we don't want to have promoted. Think about how long it took before EVs and Tesla became something that were prevalent out there. Like Elon had to bust his butt and be as dramatic as possible with everything, putting out a product that nobody could deny just to be able to get it actually on the radar of search engines. When it comes to energy, and a reason that happened was because it's a disruptive technology. What do we see with disruptive technologies is companies that are going to be losing their way of life, and they will pay anything they can to not lose their way of life. This is what's happening with energy right now. They're disrupting energy. There's a lot of big money out there that is going to be disrupted if Tesla comes out with the energy as they want. So there's a lot of big money that is paying to not have this be visible to the main public because they're not ready to get disrupted yet. And I think that's a big swing that we're seeing right now, and why we're not hearing a lot about energy from Tesla coming out in mainstream media or anything, because they don't want to be disrupted. I want to say somebody did I can't remember what, if it's 13, there's like 13 main utility companies that run all of the utilities in the all of US. So that's a very small number of companies running a lot. So if Tesla comes out and starts disrupting that, it's just like big oil. We saw it with big oil, and now we're seeing Saudi Arabia like seeing this happening. And it's great to see like, all right, who is getting disrupted and what are they doing for on their end? So Saudi Arabia right now is investing in Lucid, which we know isn't doing great at the moment, but they're investing in that aspect of EVs. Why would an oil-bearing nation be investing in EVs. They see it coming. They're diversifying their portfolio. I mean,
Oh
hell,
yeah.
Saudi
Oh
Arabia
yeah.
just bought they're buying WWE for Christ's sake. So like they're really getting
Yeah.
out there and doing different things. And you being in that area, you can see the way that they're diversifying. Obviously, oil is still going to be a huge component of them, but seeing that they're going to be losing oil revenue to different disruptive technologies, they've got to diversify. And that's what they're
Yeah.
doing.
I
So
would
anybody who's saying that EV revolution isn't coming, you got to open your eyes. It's coming, and even Saudi Arabia sees it.
it's not coming, it's already here. Yeah.
It's true. That is true.
Look, I was in Dubai for New Year's, and I was very surprised and shocked to see how many Teslas were on the road, and the supercharging network. Like before 2022, I was in Dubai in 2017, and I saw a lot of Teslas. But this time when I went back, I was like, whoa, there's a lot of Teslas here. It was insane. All
Oh
the
yeah.
taxis, all the major taxis, nothing
Yep.
but Teslas, all of them. And I'm just like, geez, like when did this happen? And then the supercharging networks, so neat, so clean, and so many of them, and so frequent. And I'm just like I was on the highway going to the mountainside of UAE because I wanted to see like some sort of national park, you could say. And as I was going there, there was a Tesla Model Y in front of me. There was a Tesla Model 3 behind me, and then and two Model Ys on my left and my right. And I'm just like, wow, look at this. I'm surrounded by Teslas.
So and it makes me wonder because like we saw when they had the World Cup was over there, so Elon was there, and I'm actually wondering if Dubai is going to become maybe like one of the first cities that runs on solar energy. Maybe they're going to load up
Oh,
on mega packs.
you have no
I
idea
wouldn't be surprised.
how. No, you should go check out their deserts. They have the biggest solar panels in the world, the most solar
I mean,
panel
why
generation
not?
in the
What else is
world.
the desert doing for you? I mean,
No, they're being so like it's the only Middle East country doing this. I don't know why the rest aren't. Like if you go to the Middle East, some part there's a massive collector, energy collector in the middle, and you have like tens and thousands of solar panels around it, pointing at this, and it generates heat and it generates energy for them. Did you know that during the nighttime, Dubai city is lit up just from solar,
wow, I did not
just
know
from
that. And that's
solar?
and that's a big city to be lit up.
It's a
That's almost it's like
massive
that's
city.
bigger than like Vegas.
It's yeah, like so like it's so many lights, so many every like it's ridiculous that I don't know that I found that very surprising, and they have a project to make another one but twice as big.
Yeah.
So
Doesn't
yeah, so
surprise me. I have a
yeah,
feeling they're going to be like I said, they'll probably be the first city out there, major city that is run purely on solar power.
yeah, and they're asking Elon to do a gigafactory there as well.
Ooh. I mean, I
Yeah,
doesn't surprise me. I mean, that they're coming up. I mean, you think about China, Saudi Arabia, I think Indonesia is going to be on the radar. These countries that are, you know, they're coming up. And that's it. And
yeah,
Saudi Arabia obviously been dominating and they don't want to lose that. And they see the way the world is going, they're going to take it. Um, yeah,
yeah.
that's awesome to hear that they're doing that.
Yeah, they've even on Twitter I saw I think it was like one of the big guys in the kingdom of UAE, one of those guys like not DMing but like tagging Elon Musk and saying that consider UAE for a gigafactory. We're open to it,
Yeah.
and doing business in Dubai is extremely easy, very friendly. You
Oh
could
yeah.
buy the land like in the Middle East. Buying land as a foreigner is impossible. Doesn't matter which part of the Middle East you are.
Yeah.
But Dubai, they have free zones where you can own the land for 99 years. And for a company like Tesla to go there, I'm sure they'll give the whole land for them.
Oh
Just
yeah.
take it. Just, do you, man. Do you.
Oh,
China's
exactly.
giving you land for free. You do you.
Yeah, because think about all of the money that they're going to generate, all the revenues they're going to
Oh, yeah.
generate just by putting them there. Jobs, vehicles, GDP over there. Oh my lord. Oh yeah.
And it's a hub. Dubai is a hub. It's an export hub as
Yeah.
well. So it'll if a gigafactory won't happen there, I'm pretty sure something of Tesla related thing will happen there because they're already present heavily and they'll continue to be present. And it's such a good location to be because you're in the middle of
Oh yeah.
in the Middle East
Maybe
and
that's where they put up a mega pack factory. I mean, the vehicles
maybe
would make sense. And I almost wonder if if they would end up being similar to what Indonesia kind of wants and be the all everything, like they're going to have vehicles, they're going to have batteries, they're going to have all of it there. Dubai might end up being the same. What do they have for materials over there? I don't know about the raw material stuff there.
I don't. Well, unfortunately, the Middle East doesn't really have much materials other than oil and gas. Everything else is just import. Like I'm in Kuwait, everything
Yeah.
100% is import. Everything, like
Yeah.
anything. They don't make anything here. Like just the local milk, I
Just
guess.
oil. That's all I got. Oil.
It's just oil, exporting oil. That's it. Like that's the
Yeah.
thing. But the Middle East countries, except for Iran has a lot of minerals. That would have been a really good place to do a gigafactory, but unfortunately, you
Just
can't at the
a little
moment.
bit of drama going on there.
Yeah, big drama. Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, though, thinking
But
about it though, where Dubai is, seeing as going through the Suez there, there's so much shipping that goes through there anyway. I
yeah,
mean, that's probably not a bad place that you could just stop and drop materials there. There's pros and cons to opening up a factory in every country.
yeah.
So, there's a lot of pros when it comes to it's going to be promoted well, it's going to be easy to start up, it's going to be cost effective. So the con would be not having the materials right on site. Just depends on
Yeah.
how Tesla would operate with that, but I'm sure they could store a whole lot there.
Speaking of gigafactories, like where do you think the next the next gigafactory is going to be? Like I know we discussed this on your channel, but things are becoming a little bit more obvious now because we're getting some data. We're hearing Mexico, we're hearing Indonesia, we're hearing South Korea. We're also hearing what's the other place?
Mexico,
Um,
Canada,
Canada,
South
yeah, we have
Korea. Yeah.
UK.
Yeah. So my thoughts are I've been still holding on to Canada and Indonesia as the next two.
Okay,
Indonesia, I think they're going to go, knowing that it's going to take about 2 years to get everything built, produced, and up and starting to ramp, about 2 years. I'm going to go with Indonesia or somewhere in the South Pacific, just
yeah,
because by the time
it's
they
more
actually get up
urgent.
and running, Shanghai is going to be having their expansion done. They're going to be pushing that limit of, the 2 million vehicles per year on a run rate. They're going to need another factory, especially, it's good to diversify in that area also. God
Oh
forbid
yeah,
something else comes up
yeah,
in
yeah, yeah,
China. It'd be nice to have another one.
yeah.
So I think they're going to go with South Korea sounded good. Sounds like there's some drama going on there right now. So I think Indonesia will be next. And then I thought Canada, talking with Alexandra last night, she brought up some good points about Mexico, but I think it's going to be North America for sure, whether it's going to be Canada, Mexico, or somewhere here, in the northeast of the US. I think one of those three locations are going to be it. For labor costs alone, Mexico would make a lot more sense than Canada. So I think those are going to be the two. I think we're going to hear about Indonesia or South Korea, and then we're going to hear about something in North America. And we'll probably hear we'll hear
Because
both. We'll hear about both of them this year.
because there was some gigapress going to Asia, and everyone's like, "Where's this going? Is this for Tesla? Is this for
Right.
who is
And
this
so
for?"
and somebody brought up, they're like, well, it's not Tesla's colors. So if you look at the one that they have for Austin, it's not the same colors. So is it just
Mm,
because it's going to a different factory? Is it because they're being secretive about it? Thoughts were, they do have an expansion that's being built in Shanghai as that second factory, but it seems like they're not actually building it yet. So it makes no sense to bring it over. Is it actually for Shanghai? Because they don't have enough space in there now, but because of how many robots it actually eliminates, they'd be able to make space for it there. So they theoretically could put it into Shanghai. Or we know that BYD was also talking about doing a single casting hatchback. Perhaps it's actually for BYD.
yeah, maybe.
So so it may not be for Tesla, but with seeing as Tesla jumped onto Idra right away, I mean, I would imagine Tesla's got Idra locked up and busy for the next 2 to 3 years. That's my thoughts. And that's probably why Tesla ended up looking at I think it was LK. LK, I think was the other one that is going to be building a gigapress for them. So I know they were,
Okay,
or no, I think LK actually sources out from Idra. I think that's who it is. But Tesla was looking at another manufacturer for the gigapress, and that there I think is because Idra wasn't just going to be able to produce them fast enough. Tesla's like, hey, we need 9 gigapresses made in the next 3 years. What can you do? And Idra's like, we can't do that. So Tesla ended up going somewhere else as well, just as a backup option. But I don't know if that's just because Idra's locked up with Tesla's things. I don't know if they've got a BYD, but it'll probably take about a month for it to get to its destination. So I'm sure we'll find out by this time next month where it's actually going.
Yeah, that container or shipment's definitely being tracked every day. I can tell you that.
That's right. Somebody's got bugs out. There's like drones all over it, like flies on poop.
Oh, that's hilarious. But that's I was thinking maybe it could have been for maybe they probably, if they do a gigafactory in Indonesia, they probably could be also making the Cybertruck there as well. But then I'm thinking about the 4680 batteries is going to be put on. I don't think so. So I don't know.
Yeah, and not only that, but like thinking about it, if it was going to go to Indonesia, they would have had to announce it. And even the senior ministers and senior officials over in Indonesia are said they're still in the talks, so they haven't even
Mm,
broken ground yet. So what would they
that's
do
true.
with this gigapress just sitting there waiting for the factory to get built? Even if they built it as fast as Shanghai and the thing was up in a year, that means you've got a gigapress sitting there for a year doing nothing. So I thought about that too, but it made no sense.
Yeah.
Going to Shanghai could make sense, but I don't think it's going to be for the Cybertruck either. So I don't think the Cybertruck is going to be coming to Asia anytime soon. Makes no sense. They don't sell enough vehicles in China. They sell 500,000 trucks over there. So to put a
Yeah.
gigapress there for the Cybertruck alone doesn't make sense. But to put it there for the Gen 3, perhaps a hatchback of some sort, might make sense. Sounds like a single casting is going to take the 12,000 ton machine. So this only being a 9,000 ton tells me it's probably not going to be for a single casting. It'll probably still be for dual casting, but I don't know enough about them and I don't know how they worked this one out, but I don't know. I'm hoping it's for Tesla and I'm hoping it's going to be something for the Gen 3 platform that's coming. Could be for Project Highland. Maybe
Maybe.
that's part of what Project Highland is. We were talking about
Mhm.
last night. If you look at a Matchbox car, like a Hot Wheels car, and you've got that
Yeah.
just solid base, and then you just take the die cast and go bloop right on top of it. I think that's literally how Tesla's going to be making cars in the future. You're going to have your bottom with the battery pack in it, and then just bloop, pop your top on, and you're done. Cars out the window. Whoop, gone.
That's it. No more going through all those like complicated, procedures to make the car. The best part is no part, right? So I
Oh,
guess that's what
exactly.
he.
Oh yeah. Well, and you think about, so if they're going three-dimensional with their factory, so instead of it being just laid out on the ground, it's now three-dimensional. And if you ever played one
Yeah.
of those games where like you have to make a burger or something in the video game and it's all just you put the different levels in there and then they drop down to make the burger, I think that's what it's going
Yeah.
to end up being like for the factories. Is you're going to have all
That
your
would be
parts made on
insane.
different levels and then sandwich it together, your car's out the door.
Sheesh. That would be a sheesh moment if they do that.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
would.
I mean, you think about every time they put up a factory, it's a better iteration of the last one. And we haven't even seen how Austin and Berlin are going to be compared to Shanghai, because Austin and Berlin are the better iterations of Shanghai. So what's going to end up coming after Austin and Berlin? I mean, they're
Yeah.
always looking to improve and get better. So I'm just flabbergasted as how they can improve, but they know it way better than we do. And I have no
Of
doubt they're going
course.
to improve. Because now in my brain, just now thinking, if Indonesia can work at the speed of Shanghai, but have the factories like Austin and Berlin, that's like putting the best of both worlds together. Like the ramp pace that they could have would be bonkers.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see what they come up with. I can't even
Yeah.
imagine what they could do with the next factory
Oh, I
and
know.
and stuff. I guess we'll find out on Investor Day. I think that's what, March 1st?
March 1st. Yep. And the long-term goals and things that they're talking about, I think we're going to hear some good stuff from them that even Wall Street is going to appreciate.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm expecting for that day to be, they share a lot of information, including the next gigafactories and, probably the next gen if it's ready. I don't know. If that's a good idea to, announce the next gen and let everybody wait for 2 3 years. Wouldn't make sense.
No, I was talking to Farzad about that. I think what they're going to end up doing is they'll announce what the Gen 3 platform is, and it sounds like it's going to be a modular base. And as Alexandra said, we're thinking it's going to be something that like you could put anything on top. So it could be the Cybertruck, Cybervan, Robotaxi, anything that you want. It's sort of like the form factor of the iPhone, whereas you have two different form factors and sizes, and then everything is just built to that. So they're gonna have the couple of sizes, and everything's just gonna get slapped on top of that bottom base Gen 3 platform. And when it comes to a compact car, it'll be able to basically flip a switch relatively quickly. But I think between announcement and release date is going to be no more than 3 months, because otherwise you're going to end up getting what we saw in Shanghai in September and October when they came down, when we had the rumor of prices coming down and sales just stopped because everybody was waiting for the price drop. So I think that's what's going to happen is they're not going to announce and say, hey, in 2 years, we're going to be announcing a compact car for this amount. Then people are just going to be like, well, I don't need to buy a car now. I'll wait 2 years and get that. Sales will fall off a cliff. So I think what's going to happen is they're going to announce it and they're going to need to be ready with production so the production ramp will be fast enough where they can say, all right, 3 months, we're going to have this released. They're going to get a bunch of inventory built up and then be able to go from there. Because that next platform, if they're selling it for 25 to 30K, think about
It's game over.
Right. Think about how inventory is dropping right now. Think about how demand spiked right up as soon as they dropped the prices the way they did. You come out with a $25,000 to $30,000 car, you're going to need to be producing almost twice as much as you're producing right now.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, of course, that's what's going to take, Tesla to 20 million, their desired goal by 2030. So I think they kind of need that 25,000 car. I'm
Oh, yeah.
curious to know, like, if they make a 25,000 car, what would their cost be to make that? Because I mean, I'm guessing they would still want to have that, 25 to 30% margin. That means
Right.
it's going to cost around like maybe,
So I think,
man, like,
so think about timing wise on this, how they're going to run it. And at that point, I'm not sure if they're going to be as concerned about vehicle margins, because if they've got a secondary software of some sort that's coming out that you can buy as upgrades, or if you
okay.
can get software unlocks, like let's say you buy the base model of the vehicle for 25,000, but if you want to get the longer range version, you could pay, software unlock it for another 5,000. That's now almost pure margin that you're getting on the bottom line just by flipping a switch. And it's already there and accessible. You just offer it to them. People that are going to take FSD. Now, FSD is going to work into it. So vehicle margins may come down. So maybe the cost of making that is $20,000 to $22,000. So the margin they're making on it is going to be, 15, maybe 20%, if that. But they're going to make up for all of that on the revenues from FSD, software, and everything else. And I think that's really what the focus is going to be is whatever vehicle is on the road, it's going to be like an iPhone. Whatever vehicle is on the road is going to be something that can generate more revenue for them. Think about a video game. You get microtransactions like crazy in video games. You go into anything. Oh, yeah, I'm going to pay for the subscription for a month. Sweet. Like I play Clash of Clans with my son. We're going to get the gold pass for $5.99. Great. So, you do that. And if you start doing that for a vehicle type thing, that's a lot of extra revenues that are coming in that are all just pure profit. So it doesn't matter if you sell your vehicle for only 15% margin. You're going to make up so much more money on the back end.
That's true. That's true. And you know what? I was having a shower moment the other day. And I was just like, whoa, like this is at this point how Tesla is doing, how Elon is seeing it, and pretty much how Tesla's goal is with their vehicles. I just had a shower moment and I'm just like, well, during a shower, I was like, Tesla's vehicles is like FSD is the toothpaste to the vehicle side, which is the toothbrush.
Yeah.
I was just like, wait, hold on a minute. Hold on. Yes, the goal is
you can brush without it, but it's not going to be as good.
That's what I mean. I'm just like, you can't, like, Tesla's total mission is to, yes, accelerate to sustainable energy, and they're doing that. But when it comes to their vehicles, their full master plan, you can say, is the vehicles are going to be like the toothbrushes you buy, but the toothpaste is going to be like 5 times more expensive. But you need it. I mean, without that, the toothbrush is useless. And I think we will get to a point by 2030, 2035, where if you don't have like an FSD, or if the car's not driving, or you're still being old school, you'll be known as old school. The new way of doing it is just sit in the car and the thing will drive itself. And I think even at that point, becoming a human driver will be a dangerous thing. You probably need maybe a separate license that, okay, if you decide to drive, you have this, like, I don't know. I'm going to 10 years time,
I've thought about that too. And I don't think something like that would happen for probably 50 years, but I think we will get to that point where they're like, FSD, like, you are required by law to have your car drive itself, because we know as a human, you're going to screw up and we're going to have some problems and we're going to have accidents. We don't want accidents. It's going to be very much like,
Wow.
you look at Demolition Man. I mean, Demolition Man is just all over seeing the future, but that's what it ended up being. And I'm not one for regulating out of things, like even where the governments are saying we're not allowed to sell ICE vehicles by 2035. I'm not a huge fan of that. Like, just educate people on the pros and cons of it. The price of things are going to come down. So if somebody still wants to buy an ICE vehicle, that's great. They can go and do it. But the majority of people aren't. And that in turn is going to force manufacturers to not produce ICE vehicles, because why would they? Nobody's going to buy them. So it will just naturally work itself out with supply and demand. Same holds true, I think, for the licenses, where, like, who would want to go and drive a car when the car is going to drive for you? And think about the
And it's
functionalities.
1,000 times safer.
Oh, exactly. It's 1,000 times safer. You can now be productive on your drive. So your car's going to drive where you need to go. So you can, play around on your phone, play around on the video games in the car, actually do some work, whatever you're going to do, that can now be done in your vehicle. So somebody who actually wants to drive is going to be minimal. There's not a lot of people. So like you said, at that point, people can just go and be like, I actually want a license to be able to drive, because I've proven that I can be safe on the roads with these FSD vehicles, these fully autonomous vehicles. But that's probably what life will be like in the future. I have no doubt.
That's gonna be a time to witness. It's like, wow. And then you can tell, your grandkids. It's like, when I was your kid, when I was your age, I had to drive everywhere. I had to drive. Now you guys can, just sit there and do whatever you want. And
oh yeah. It's the way technology moves things. And I honestly think we're going to end up, we'll have humans on Mars before that actually comes to fruition. But I think that will end up happening.
I wanted to tell this, that you mentioned Mars. In Dubai, there is a museum there called the Museum of the Future. And I'm just like, I have to go in there, see what future, what's this? So the Museum of the Future had some pretty interesting, they didn't call it predictions, they called it challenges. But they visioned what 2071 will look like. So what they visioned 2071 to look like is that we're going to have some sort of a satellite that connects other satellites, that connects to the sun, that transfers the energy to solar panels back on Earth. So we have abundance of energy.
Huh. So it's almost like they put a magnifying glass out in space to really magnify the sun and make it stronger.
Yeah. And in the clip, there was, well, in Dubai at least, there was a lot of flying cars, which was pretty interesting. And there was lanes where it showed full self-driving cars. It didn't show what brand it was, though. It just showed full cars driving themselves, and you're just chilling, which was really interesting to see. And they showed like SpaceX rockets on the moon. So it was interesting to see by 2071 how things will look like. So
I think by 2071 we'll be a multiplanetary species. I think Optimus is going to be what actually brings us to Mars. And we'll probably end up colonizing some of the moon. I think they're going to have the science station up on the moon, and thinking about the fact that these Optimus robots aren't going to be bothered by the weathering of, they don't have to face the elements, so they can handle that. So they can go up there and at least start doing what needs to get done so that human colonies can be formed on other planets.
Personally, in my opinion, I'm still skeptical that the bot is still, I mean, after seeing how what the bot sees and what it does, I think they're gonna do it, but I'm still skeptical. I don't know. I like to once it happens, it happens. FSD, I can see it happening. It's happening. Energy, it's happening because it's happening. Vehicles, it's happening. But the bot is still like, I gotta see more. I gotta,
like, it's coming. And I think for me, what I'm looking at is, because from what we've learned, and obviously this is what the light bulb moment for Elon was, when they were going through FSD and realized that they're really just creating AI, and the AI that they're creating can be put in anything. So why not put it in a humanoid robot? So you might as well work on that at the same time. So if you can do that, and then they can learn from the humanoid standpoint, how to operate the FSD and learn from that, it's a good starting point. So I don't think we'll see this really coming. Elon said we'll see it in homes in the next 3 to 5 years. I'll say by 2030, we'll start seeing it maybe more prevalent in factories. I'd love to see it sooner, but I think that's realistically when we're going to end up seeing it. But it's nice to see all the iteration jumps. So I'm sure we'll see it at Investor Day also. So if we can see the next jump and go from, Bumble C up to what Optimus is doing, and actually see Optimus in the Bumble C form, I think that'd be a nice progression to see where we're going there. I would love to see them in the factory floors. Maybe the factory that they announce next, whether it be Indonesia or Mexico or wherever, maybe that one will be the first one to actually have these humanoid robots and Optimus be utilized in the factories. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. We'll see. Sheesh. It's crazy.
Oh
Now
yeah,
let's move on to
such good things to look forward to over the next decade.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And 2023, actually this whole decade is Tesla's decade in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
Especially this year with all the price cuts coming through. Anyways,
Yeah.
let's get to the questions. There's some few questions
yeah.
here. We have here from Hunter Roku. Thoughts on Tesla calls for Q4 earnings. What's your thoughts, Oracle? What do you think?
Now, when you say Tesla calls, are you talking about the like options calls or what are we talking about for calls there?
Oh, I think he's overall talking about like
What are we going to hear on the call for earnings? What are we going to hear on it?
I think so. Tesla calls for
Okay.
Q4.
So I think what we're going to end up seeing is I'm wondering if Tom Zhu is going to be on there. I don't know if they're going to announce him as the director of global operations there, or if they're going to do it at the investor day. So either way, we'll hear that. Might hear about buybacks. Not sure if we'll hear about it then, or if they're going to wait for Q1 earnings. I also think that we're going to hear what I'm really curious about, and you can let me know your thoughts on this too. What do you think they're going to give us for guidance? Because we know that for the last 2 to 3 years, their guidance has always been 50% year-over-year growth averaged out. That's all we've heard. So do you think they're going to reiterate that, or do you think they're going to change that?
So if they're saying 50% from 2020 levels, then yeah, they're going to say 50% for sure, because 50% from 2022, if you keep compounding it every year, that means for 2023 is about 1.687 million vehicles deliveries. So they can easily do 50% if that's what they mean based on 2020 numbers. But if they're saying year over year based on the previous numbers, so 1.3, 50% of that's like what, 2.1, 2.2? That's, I don't know how they're going to do it in this recession unless they continue slashing prices all year round. So I think knowing Elon, he's going to say 50%.
Yeah. I'm really curious if they're going to reiterate that way, if they're going to get more specific. Because
if they don't, I think we gotta like, I think that will be a bit of a shocker that, oh wait, you're not gonna go 50% anymore. Come on, whoa, what's going on? You know, but I think they will say 50%. I think they will. What do you think?
I honestly don't know. They might stick with it. They might stick with that 50% because we did the math on it. And even if they grow compound 40% through the rest of this decade, they're going to hit 20 million vehicles by 2030, which is their goal. So realistically, they don't even have to do 50%. They only have to do 40%. So I really don't know there. I don't know if they're going to reiterate the 50 or if they're going to change things up for the potential recession. That one, I don't know.
Yeah, what I'm expecting for the earning call, hopefully they can talk about a little bit more about energy. I know no one cares about energy, but if they could just say that, guys, energy is, I mean,
by the way, in case you're sleeping, it's coming.
Yeah,
it's energy is, and it's growing fast.
It could add $1 to the EPS. You know, I'm just saying. You know.
Oh, I know. Well, that's the thing that always gets overlooked. They put out the shareholder deck, and they're like, "Oh yeah, well we've got mega packs sold out through late 2024," and I was like, "Yeah, whatever. Tell me about the vehicles." And they're like, "No, but seriously, like that's pretty big."
Yeah, I think FSD is also going to be mentioned as well. Yeah, I think the points that you and I mentioned are good points. That was going to be said in the call. Now, the next question. Oh, I think we spoke about this earlier, but hi, hello. Where do you predict that the shares will fall?
Yeah, so my bottom worst case scenario was $57. There's a gap that goes down to 57. So I think we would get down to that, fill the gap, and then come back up. I don't think we'd linger there long. I think we'd hit that and then come back up. That would be a worst case scenario.
And if that happens, like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to sell everything to just buy more shares.
Oh, heck yeah.
Probably won't even have a phone. I don't know.
You'll have just enough to run your channel to talk about, all right, I spent 17 cents today because that's all I was able to scrounge up in the trash. And So I think that's worst case scenario. There's a potential we could hit if we get ugliness in the overall market, and some more Tesla specific drama that comes out could hit $80. Otherwise, maybe 100 is going to be the bottom. But I do think we get one more pullback.
Yeah. Like we mentioned earlier in the video, in the call, we said that most likely it'll be because of the Fed. Most likely that's what's going to bring it down. Most
Yeah.
likely, and maybe Q4. If it's a miss Q4, we can
Yeah.
see a drag down as well. So
Right.
what I'm
Because
saying,
all of the negative sentiment FUD that people have been spewing out, Tesla's now fixing. Like Tesla needs a lower priced car. All right. All of our cars are lower priced now. Elon needs to step
yeah,
away
30
from Twitter.
grand.
We know that, he hasn't been as much over there right now. He's been focusing more on Tesla, less drama. And we know he's going to be finding a CEO for them relatively soon. So there's going to be a lot of the stuff
Ooh, that's a big cap.
that's been a hardcore Tesla negative sentiment recently is going to be going away. So we're going to have a stronger sentiment in the stock itself, but there may still be a couple of things here and there that come out as drama filled that could cause a pullback for whatever reason that these people want to drag it down.
Yeah, I think if they could like announce the new CEO of Twitter, whenever that'll be, I think the stock could jump up 10 to 15%.
I thought about that, and if you asked me that a month ago, I would have said yes. Now I think a lot of that Twitter drama BS is kind of working itself out. So I don't know if it's going to jump up as much. I think it'll jump up, but I don't think it's going to jump up as much. I think there's other things that are going to cause it to stay down, relatively based off of like the macro environment. So I don't think it's going to be as big of a jump, but I think it will definitely jump up when he announces it. And then it'll be really his behavior on Twitter. Like if his behavior changes, then
It's Elon. I don't think Elon's
I
going to change.
personally, it doesn't faze me at all. It doesn't bother me, but I know it bothers some people, and that's the whole thing. Is like I'm not the one who's dictating this. It's how does everybody else feel about it, and that's where the sentiment comes from.
That's true. That's true. Let's see. What was another question here I saw? Okay. This is a big question. Let's see what this is by Brooke. When do you think Tesla may focus on solid-state batteries as those become more advanced and easier to commercialize? I know Japan and Germany had a lot of R&D in that area. Take it away, Oracle.
Last I knew, and now this was knowledge that I had as of about a year ago, was solid-state batteries weren't even going to be a thing potentially until 2024. So that doesn't even talk about, can you scale it or anything like that. That was just like, can we actually create one that is going to be functional for a vehicle? And that was 2024. Don't forget, between the time that I had read that was when we were in that COVID boom. We're no longer there. So I don't know where the status is of that. Seeing as Tesla's been focusing on the 4680s as much as they have, that's going to be the next generation. Perhaps after 4680s, they do go over to a solid state if they have that kind of technology that's out there. So I don't think we would end up seeing solid state batteries become mass production if they get fixed, if it gets solved, let's say by 2024. I don't think we're going to see it in mass production until probably 2026 or 2027. Maybe we hear about something like that on the next, maybe it's Investor Day, maybe it's the next like AI day that Tesla does. Maybe we'll hear about something then. But I haven't heard anything at all about Tesla working on any solid state battery. So if they are, it's very quiet.
Yeah, this is the first time I'm actually hearing about a solid state battery. I have little knowledge of this.
Yeah, it's I mean, the technology is great if they can make it actually happen. It's very, very efficient. It's just a matter of, can they actually do it as a scalable product?
Okay. That's we'll see how that goes. And the last question is going to be from Marty. What
We're
are
gonna
your
end on a
thoughts on
party here. Heck yeah.
Yeah, Marty Party. What are your thoughts on 50K Tesla semis in 2024? Now, 50K semis,
Yes.
are these selling 50,000
Yeah.
semis or
So
pricing them at 50,000? Okay, so selling 50,000.
Yeah, because Elon had mentioned when they were releasing the semi truck, I was funny because I was on a live stream with Brian over at My Tesla Weekend, and we were discussing our predictions for what we thought Tesla was going to produce for semis in 2023. I was like, I'm on the very bullish side. thinking Tesla's going to produce 10,000. And I was like, that's very bullish. Then Elon right afterwards came out and said that they're looking at doing 50,000 in 2024. And I was like, well, my 10,000 in 2023 is no longer bullish. That's just a base case now. Because if they can't produce 10,000 in 2023, there's no way they're putting out 50,000 in 2024. So yeah, I think it's aggressive. But we know that Elon is aggressive. I would be very happy if Tesla put out 25,000 in 2024. Honestly,
what's the run rate for the Tesla semis? How much like?
Gosh,
I
we
know
haven't
they
even
made
heard
50, 60.
I mean, I don't even know because right now, I mean, going up into when they released them to Pepsi, there was like 100 that they put out in a couple of months. So what they're actually producing right now, I don't know. I don't even know the full specs on it. If you guys can let us know too, I haven't seen actual specs on the semi. I've seen, what they've told us with the 500-mile range and things like that, but haven't seen the actual true specs, haven't seen, ramp rates or anything like that. But if he's thinking 50,000 in 2024, I mean, just breaking it down by month, I can't even do the math in my head on that. That's, that's 2,000 a month. No, it's just over 4,000 a month. Gosh, I mean, that's nuts. If they can do it, awesome. I just don't know how they're going to do it.
Yeah, I don't.
Unless, of course, that factory that's coming up in Mexico is going to be for the semi. If that's the case, and they get that factory built starting now, and it's up and running by the beginning of 2024, and they can start producing there, then it's possible. I'll give them that.
I don't know. I really don't know. I think we'll know more information when like the year end. Well, the year has ended, but when quarter 4 comes out, or even first quarter of 2023, we'll see how many they delivered, and then we'll see what their max capacity is, and then we'll see. But 50,000 in a year, I don't know. Elon tends to overpromise too quick, and then
exactly, yeah. Like, and I know that from Elon's standpoint, he doesn't cater to Wall Street. He doesn't give a crap about Wall Street.
No,
he
doesn't.
Cares about the mission, and in order to get to the mission as fast as possible, he has to put out aggressive goals. Because if he said our goal is 25,000 for 2024, maybe they produce 25,000 for 2024. But if he says 50,000, maybe they end up producing 35,000. That's 10,000 more because they had a higher goal that was set. So they'll miss his expectations, but be higher than what the 25,000, what he thought they could do was. So that's the game. That's the mental game he plays. That's the game I play with myself when I'm trying to strive for goals. And that's what I teach all of my clients is the same thing is shoot for a higher goal, but be okay with not reaching that goal. But just remember that trying to strive for that goal is going to get you further than if you didn't strive for that high goal. So
yeah, exactly. Like shoot for 1,000 shares of Tesla. Yeah. So what if you get 600? It's fine.
Yeah. Like Elon, shoot for the stars and land on Mars. We're good.
Yeah. There we go. That's all. That's all you need to know.
Yeah. Simple.
So yeah, that was interesting. 50,000. I didn't know about that until now.
And I'll be interested to see when on the delivery breakdowns, they actually start putting the semis on there. Cause now we see the 3 and the Y, and we see the S and the X. When they start breaking down the semi separately on there, that'll be a big day.
Yeah, that'll be crazy. Sheesh moment.
Oh yes. And you know what? By Q3 or Q4 of this year, we might see Cybertruck and Semi have their own lines on the delivery reports.
Oh man, I can't wait to see Cybertruck. Third quarter.
Seeing one in the wild is going to be insane.
I just can't wait for people to go like, oh wow, what is it? Oh, it's finally here. The Cybertruck's here. What does it do? Oh, it does that. Okay, cool. Wow, very nice. Okay, we'll order one too.
Oh yeah, and I can't wait for people to get into it and use it. And then we're going to be getting so many videos of people like, oh my god, look what else it can do. Look at this. It can do this. I lost power. I charged my entire house for a week off of my Cybertruck. Like we're going to hear so many absolutely insane things.
I can't wait. It's going to be flipping insane. I can't wait to test drive one too. I mean,
yeah. Like I had an old 2003 Chevy Silverado. At the time it was brand new, but that thing had some punch. And I had gotten the Allison transmission. I had gotten the 8.1 liter engine. So it had some nut to it. So thinking about going into a Cybertruck and how much stronger that's going to be, that's exciting. Looking forward to that.
That's bulletproof glass and undentable, material. I don't know, man.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be flipping insane. But yeah, man, let's wrap it up, man. That was
All right.
what, an hour and 45 minutes.
Oh, this has been
Sheesh.
awesome.
This has been awesome. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of fun, and we should do this more often, Oracle. We should
Oh,
do this more
definitely.
often.
Oh, we absolutely can, and we should, and we will.
I am down. I am so down to do this more often. This was a lot of fun, guys. Check out his channel. Link in the description. Oracle Investments. Awesome content. Again, I'm a subscriber, so I do recommend you guys check out his channel. Good stuff. And yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up now. And
Awesome.
happy long weekend, everybody. It's a long weekend. Yeah.
Yes, enjoy your weekends.
Take care, guys, and see you guys in the next video.